they have lost a sense of stability because they have lost everything. They have lost loved one. They have lost income. They have lost food. So imagine the kind of anxiety they are getting up to mosquitoes in the morning, getting up to nothing over their head. So when there's a crisis, we go through a state of not only trauma, but anxiety. And I can tell you, many of those persons in the morning, they will wake up in the morning with heart palpitation.
A few weeks ago, Jamaica was completely devastated, the western side of the island, that is, by Hurricane Melissa. A superstorm, one would say. A storm that no one has ever seen before, with winds exceeding a Category 5 hurricane. Now, no one expected this. No one was as prepared as we could be for this storm, but it has caused such devastation on the western end of the island that people literally feel as though they are watching a documentary from some remote place in Africa when you see the damage that has been caused. Now, of course, this is something you could label as a crisis like none other. And so for episode 11, we want to talk about leadership crisis. And this is Natassia, right? And I'm joined by my co-host Jamar, right? AKA Babes, as we discuss on the Designers of Change podcast on leadership crisis.
Oh my, this topic, leadership in crisis, is a very tough and a very hard one to teach. And a matter of fact, and it's a very scary topic for us to teach, because when a person is in crisis mode and he or she has lost everything, he or she is on the brink of destruction.
Yes.
And crisis, in a layman's term, is a negative and a sudden turn that turn your life upside down. That in the immediate, you want to go back to the original state. And so crisis punch us in the gut so often. There are many people who have never, ever recovered from a crisis, a sudden negative change that turns someone's life upside down. So how can we teach
on such a thing?
And there are all type of crisis. You have personal crisis, where God forbid you have been through personal crisis when you have lost your father, your mother, your grandmother, you lost everyone. And then there are financial crisis.
Absolutely.
Where you wake up one morning and you lost everything. I was listening to a gentleman on the news. He lost in the Category 5 Melissa in Jamaica, and he was crying, and he said something like this. He said, I'm a construction worker from I was 15, and he said, I've lost everything.
Yes.
I have lost. And he's a human being.
Yes.
And when we feel those pain, our life turn upside down. What can we do? What can we possibly teach someone in those moments?
Powerful. Absolutely powerful. And we're going to talk about all these different things, but of course we have to big up our sponsors. So at this time, we want to say a huge thank you to J. Smyrie Media, Mind Food International, Superlative Auto, Vibrant Creative Studio, and Amanda's Kitchen.
And one more, Caribbean Gospel TV.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
They are doing a fantastic job with sharing Designers of Change podcast on their TV station. And we've been getting feedback from all over the Caribbean and some places that we don't necessarily know anyone from.
Yes,
when they talk about the Philippines, Vietnam, these countries that we dream to visit, but we're not quite there yet. So, Mr. Wright, what I love what I love about this topic is that for every single human being on the face of the earth, at one point or another, they will face a crisis.
Yeah. I think one of the best thing we use to extrapolate, we watch a movie by the name of Miracle.
Yes.
In the Hudson River by Captain Sullenberger. Do I pronounce his name right?
Yes.
Or can I say
Captain Sully? That's what they call him.
Sully. On January the 15th, 2009, hopefully I get that right. It's January the 15th, 2009, around 2 or 3 p.m. in the afternoon, Sully was leaving LaGuardia Airport. And about 3 minutes while the plane was climbing, it was soaring, it was climbing to its cruise altitude, Captain Sully have an ear strike or a bird strike. Now, a bird strike, for those who don't know, is when the engine of the plane were disabled because a group of birds flew through the engine. And so Captain Sullenberger lose both engine.
Right.
And that, at that time, was a crisis. It was a crisis because at that time, he had 115 souls on board. No, 155 souls on board. And here's the thing. He had 3 precious minutes to make a decision. This is a life and death situation. The plane has not climbed to cruising altitude where it could glide the plane. It was still close to the dense populated area of the Bronx, and that can be a catastrophe. And in that moment, Captain Sullenberger could not go back to LaGuardia Airport to land in New York, and he did not have enough time to go to Teterboro Airport in New York to land. And in that moment, Captain Sullenberger remained calm, and he said to the control tower, "I'm going in the Hudson River."
No, I want to stop you there because this is one of my absolute favorite stories of all time. It's real. It's not fictional, right? And the black box would have extracted the actual audio of this flight. And when he told the control tower that we're going in the Hudson River, the person on the other end said,
the pilot, yeah.
What?
the control
And
tower.
it took another pilot that was tuned in on that frequency to say, I think he said they're going to land in the Hudson River. But that gentleman was calm. No sense of being frantic or scared. And again, he had all of 175 souls. 155 souls on board that aircraft. And so one would think, how can a leader become in the midst of crisis?
One of the things that crisis produce, babes, is anxiety.
Of course.
Because when there is a sudden destructive change in our personal life. Now, think about the Jamaicans right now who are on the western end of Jamaica. And I can describe the devastation. It's like an atomic bomb.
Absolutely.
Being detonated in that area. No, you are talking
and we're
about,
not exaggerating.
We are not exaggerating. The images are there, the videos are there all over social media and YouTube. Those persons, they have lost a sense of stability.
Absolutely.
Because they have lost everything. They have lost loved one. They have lost income. They have lost food. So imagine the kind of anxiety they are getting up to mosquitoes in the morning, getting up to nothing over their head. So when there's a crisis, we go through a state of not only trauma, but anxiety. And I can tell you, many of those persons in the morning, they will wake up in the morning with heart palpitation.
Of course. Of course. And so if it is that the citizens feel that way, can you imagine the person who is in charge of the well-being of all the citizens?
Yes.
And so that is scary.
Yeah,
I mean,
scary.
we know the saying, heavy is the head that wears the crown and all these different things. But when a leader wakes up in the morning knowing that they have to face this and they have to ensure that people are on the better end of things, how does that work?
It ought to work, because another thing that crisis produce, not only for a leader, but for the person who's going through the crisis as well. Crisis produce lust. Because when your life turn upside down, you have lost something, whether it's personal or economical wise. Think, for example, the country. The country would have lost almost half of its GDP. That would be revenue coming into the country. That would be people out of job. And imagine the crisis, personal crisis, where somebody lost their loved one.
Yes.
So crisis, in a crisis, it create anxiety. Crisis create loss. And crisis create uncertainty.
Absolutely. I want to add one to that. Crisis creates major distraction.
Yes.
Because we can never go back to normal. Like, we can't operate as normal. We try to, because we know the country's economy is depending on us to show up at our jobs, at our businesses, to keep things going. But it is a major distraction, because no one right now is as focused as they can be when they're thinking about, Auntie Pam don't have no roof, so I have to make sure I get some tarpaulin, and we have to do this and we have to do that. It causes distraction.
Not only cause distraction, but it also create a sense of denial. Because when our life suddenly turn upside down, we are kicked out of our normal routine. And it's for everybody.
Yeah.
We are in a state of denial, because how could this happen to me? And that is why this thing is a very leadership in crisis. It's a very hard thing to teach, and it is a very scary thing to teach, because when a person is in denial and saying, I can't believe I just lost that. I can't believe I'm in this situation. And here's the thing about crisis. When you are in a crisis, you are in a perpetual survival mode. And for some, especially those right now who are going through the catastrophe of the category 5, how do I start back? Where do I start? Who do I look to? I need help. The pain, the uncertainty, the instability in life, I lost a sense of routine, and I also lost a sense of going forward. How do I rebuild?
Many questions. There are many questions, and I can only imagine how some of these individuals, they think. As a matter of fact, they reach out to us every day, and so the relief efforts will have to continue. And I'm thinking probably well into another year and a half after this. It's not going to be a tomorrow thing that we're gonna be a-okay. It's going to take time. But right after the break, I want us to now focus on how does a leader manage through a crisis. And individuals may be thinking what Natassia and Jamar can possibly share on crisis. We've been through our very own share of crises.
Yes.
Many. And so we can share a thing or two. And not only that, but we consult with great leaders, leaders in government, leaders in business, leaders, head of NGOs worldwide, and they share how they're able to manage through the storms of life. And so when we come back, we're going to be talking about that. That's going to be our focus here on the Designers of Change. Stick and stay. The Designers of Change podcast is sponsored by J. Smyrie Media, Mind Food International, Superlative Auto, Vibrant Creative Studio, and Amanda's kitchen. Now, we also want to make mention of Caribbean Gospel TV. Awesome guys, working so hard. And also MAAD 97.5 FM out there in Guyana. Yes. And we're going to return to our very serious conversation now, because we're talking about leadership in crisis. And so I want you at this time to just share with us what are some of the things that leaders can do. And I want it. Let's do it this way. If the Prime Minister right now is sitting down and listening to us, what would you say to Mr. Wholeness at this point in time?
You know, when I was watching Miracle on Hudson River, one of the things I learned, one of the most important things I learned with that plane going down in the Hudson River is to remain calm. Captain Sully was very calm. Yeah. He was as if he have been through this thing several times before. And so when you are going through a crisis, it is easy to say than to do, because remember our own crisis. Your head is all over the place. You're spinning. You can't sleep. But the thing that you want to do is to remain calm. There's a thing. Do you know when water, if the water is boiling, you can't really see the bottom of the pot because the water is bubbling up. But when that water stops boil, you can see all the way through because it is calm. Right. And so when you are calm and your emotions are calm down, you are able to make better decision or the best decision in that situation. Because Sullenberger, the best decision was to return to the airport and land. But he could not have done that. So the best alternative in his context was to put that plane on the water to save the souls of those persons. So when you are calm and you are not panic, you make better decision. And we all know that when you are not in a frantic mood, you make better decision.
You know, there is a statistic out there that actually says that we make our worst decisions in life when we're fearful and anxious.
That's true.
And so when you think about it, your worst financial decisions, your worst relationship decisions, you weren't in the best frame of mind to begin with. And so that's why you opted to do that. And so that's an important one. I do know that being calm during, these kinds of situations are not easy. They're not easy because you are thinking about everyone, how they're feeling, worried about if you can deliver. What about the pressure and the criticisms, right? And so being calm is definitely one that I endorse. You have to be able to regulate your emotions and look at the pros and cons and make the absolute best decision for that time.
Yeah. Another step is to, and you can chip in when I'm finished with this point. Another one of them is to educate yourself about what you are going through at the moment, because you are twice defeated if you are ignorant to the thing that you are going through.
Absolutely.
Imagine if I was Captain Sullenberger, I know nothing about plane. I would make some of the worst decisions. But here's the thing. Sullenberger was educated about what he was going through. He have practiced for some of these things. And so even now in our situation, when a category 5 hit a nation that has caused such catastrophe, they turn to the expert so that the expert can brief them. And so when you are better educated about what you are going through, the crisis that you are going through, you are able to make better decisions. You are able to anchor your fears. You have more help. You have more people on it. And so if you are going through a crisis and you are not educated on it and as to what you are going through, you are not going to be able to make the best decision. But the best decision comes from educating yourself. And you know that lack of knowledge, that people perish. And so if you are going through a crisis and you don't know what you are going through, you are twice defeated. And so if you are out there today and whatever you are going through, remain calm and educate yourself on what it is that you are facing. I know it's not easy, because when your life suddenly change, we are in a place of denial, and it's not easy.
Absolutely. No, I wanna do a follow up to that. It's the same point about educating yourself. But if you are going to keep yourself informed or in that position of having the knowledge, it means then that you need to be flexible.
Yes.
So I cannot be stuck in my own way if I'm being faced with this personal or national crisis. If I don't have the information, then it then means that someone will have to tell me.
Yes.
So when the person comes with the knowledge and the wisdom and shares with me, I cannot be steadfast that me not do that. Or I'm not doing that, right?
Yes.
You have to be flexible enough to say, okay, this is what the experts or the advisors are saying. So I have to literally take into consideration those recommendations and see if it works for us.
Yeah.
So I absolutely agree.
You know, you mentioned something about being flexible. During a crisis, you can't be rigid. You know what I noticed about the hurricane, babes? The tree that stand during an hurricane is not the sturdy tree. We have seen sturdy tree fallen during the hurricane.
Oh, you mean?
But guess what, Stan? Those whimsy looking trees. Do you know why?
Absolutely.
Because they were flexible. When the wind came, they bend with the wind and
They're
come back up.
swaying.
They sway with the wind. They dance with the rhythm of the wind. Do you know what the
Yes.
sturdy tree did? It stand still.
Yes.
It didn't bend, and guess what? The force of the wind toppled it over. They are a company today, babes. They went through a crisis, but guess what? They were able to adapt. They
Yes.
change. We are making floppy disk today. The adversity of the thumb drive came. No, we can't remain with thumb drive today. We can't remain with floppy disk. We have to change to
you
thumb
have to
drive.
do something different.
Thumb drive is not working now. We have to move to the cloud. And there are even cars out there now, right now, babes. They are taking their time moving into EV because they realize that change is coming. The wind of change is coming. And here's the thing. When a storm comes, I want you out there to listen. When a storm comes, even though you might not extrapolate all the wisdom out of the storm, a storm means that something has just ended.
Powerful.
Because it has destroyed a lot of things in its
Powerful.
path. So that era has ended. But guess what? There's a new beginning.
Newness,
I
guys.
don't know what that is, but when the storms of life come, something has ended in your life.
And something
And
started.
something has started.
Let's
So-
not forget that,
So you
because
have
we
to be
like to
flexible,
focus
yes.
only on what it no
Yeah.
longer exists, but understand
stand
that
on.
what is about to
About to
begin or what has begun
Yes.
is greater than that
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
ended.
Yeah.
And so let us not lose focus off of that. I want us to run through the points before we lose time. Another one is we have to think about how do we rebound. So not only do you have to remain calm, you have to be informed and flexible, but you have to look at how do we rebound, which is the birthing,
Of a new
because this is where the opportunities lie. So even though there's crisis and chaos happening, opportunities show up.
Yes.
And we're seeing that now. Aid is coming. Donations are here. You
Yes.
know, I know for one, the airports are so busy because you have all these private jets, planes. They're coming, and they're coming with opportunities.
Yes, opportunities. And so how do we rebound? You have to see opportunity in a crisis. You know what this is? Podcast is opportunity in the crisis. I don't want to knock the radio station, but if we realize that traditional media has taken a hit, there's a crisis in traditional media. Now, JSRC have seen the opportunity in that, and so we have a podcast here today.
Yes.
And so to rebound, we have to see opportunity in crisis, and in every single crisis, a new opportunity has emerged, and those who have eyes to see, let them see.
Powerful. So if you are one of those who are sitting down and complaining, you're not going to see the opportunity because you're focused so much on
And
what
what-
you lost
Yes.
or what's gone, not seeing that there's a new thing
There's a
that
new
is
thing.
being birthed. That is so powerful. And then the last one we have is to be creative.
Yes, I think being creative, innovation is born out of crisis. Do you know that most invention were birthed out of World War II? Things like canned food, I don't want to say refrigerator was birthed out of it, but the mass production of certain things, many invention was birthed out of the crisis of World War II. And so when we have a crisis, because when we are comfortable, babes, when we are comfortable and we are in our comfort zone, we are not creative. we tug along with what works, and nothing feel like success. Let me say that. Which one of the screen should I look in, Jace? That one. Jace, I should look in that screen. Let me say this. Nothing feels like success. Because when we are successful, we don't change what works. We stick to the cliche, never reinvent the wheel. But guess what? If you never reinvent the wheel, we will never be driving on a robot today. So the wheel must be reinvented. And so if you are successful today, you have to switch up your thing, because guess what? That is what crisis does for us. It puts an end to that, and it gives birth to creativity. It gives birth to innovation. And so for us to rebound from a crisis, it's very difficult though. And sometimes depending on the crisis, it's going to take a long while. For those people in the western end of Jamaica, it's a long road to recovery. Black River will not look like the Black River of old. Westmoreland will never look like Westmoreland of the old. Manchester, some part, they will never look like Trelawney. The end has finished. And even for some leader, that storm signify the end of a generation. And there are new voice that will rise up. That will rise from the storm.
Absolutely. Let me drive that point home a little bit further for you. The house that you lost, the new one won't look like that. Yeah. The kitchen won't be the same. The bedroom won't be the same. It's all going to be a new experience. And that's what crisis does for you. I can take it even a little step further. When you go through significant changes in life, you birth a new you. You don't show up in the spaces the same. You may even change the way you dress. You change the way you do your makeup, your hair, everything, because you have a new persona. And the last thing I want to add on this thing about leadership in crisis, or crisis in general, is that crisis humbles us.
Yes.
You know, the word of God tells us that pride comes before a fall. Let me tell you something. Nothing humbles us like pain.
Yes.
It's our greatest teacher. Yes. When you go through enough crisis, you will be so humble that you can see the man outside, hear his story, feel his pain, and not think you're anything greater than him, but more so just want to help. You're not afraid to apologize. You're not afraid to walk people through their issues. And most importantly, you see everyone on this walk, this journey called life, as equal to you.
Yeah, we are 100% human being, and also we are 100% spiritual. But here's the thing, babes, I mentioned humility. When we are walking this life, we must hold on to everything slightly, not tightly.
Lightly, not tightly. Okay.
Yeah, because at any moment, life can make a U-turn for us. And that is why humility comes. And that is why the master teacher Jesus said, he said, he who exalts himself shall be humble, and he who humble himself shall be exalted, right? Yes, shall be exalted. So we want to say to you here, use humility to humble you. Is that your identity are not made on these. We are not better than you. We are not in a certain class. But we are humble enough to know that if life changes, we can get back up. And if life have a sudden negative change, we don't lose who we are, because we have lost those things. And it's a painful thing to lose, to have a negative sudden change. I don't pray it for anyone.
Absolutely. Thanks so much for tuning in to the Designers
subscribe,
of Change. Please follow us. Ensure you are subscribed. You are liking, commenting on YouTube. If you're listening on all the streaming platforms, we're charting on Apple, okay? Make sure you download, and we have so much more to come. But if you are in the middle of a crisis, remember, this is the seed of opportunity for you.
And this too shall
pass. Also, big up to Grace Creates, one of our wonderful sponsors. We didn't mention earlier. Grace Creates, thank you for partnering with us.
Thank you for joining us for the Designers of Change podcast. Join us on the next episode.